What's going on, everybody? It's been a fantastic day, a fantastic Monday. Legal tampering period started today, and the 49ers legally tampered today. They made it worth their while. Obviously, we know Javon Hargrave. And then about an hour ago, the breaking news the 49ers went and signed Sam Darnold to a 1 year deal. We're still looking for the details, specific details. I haven't seen any updates on that, but the 49ers went and grabbed Sam Darnold as their backup emergency quarterback. I don't know what you guys think, but I think this was an absolute dub. Again, he's not expected to be a starter. He's a guy that's going to allow them to develop Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's got the surgery. He's got to rehab, and hopefully he comes back in time like we all expect, 6 months. Trey Lance is going to have all the reps at number one, during training camp. But a guy like Sam Darnold is not a spring chicken. He's been in the league for a couple of years, and I think he's good enough to where he could come in and really compete with Trey and push him. And he's a veteran. And, he's been in a backup situation before. He's been in a starting role. He's a solid quarterback with some mobility. I think he fits Kyle's system in terms of, if the 49ers absolutely needed to have Sam Darnold, he could come in, manage some games, and maybe win a few games in case of an emergency. If Trey goes down or Brock goes down or whatever the case is, whatever happens with those two. But Sam Darnold's a great emergency plan to have compared to Josh Johnson, right? Niner says, definitely was not expecting Darnold of all the quarterbacks to be the one they chose. I didn't either. I didn't have him on my radar. I mean, I mentioned him briefly, but I didn't think that was the guy they were going to go after. I'm not mad at it. I think it's a great move overall. He needed to upgrade. They were telling us over the last couple of weeks that, hey, we got to go get a veteran. We got to make sure we insulate ourselves. We got to get a guy that can come in and win some games if needed. 49ers have had a lot of injuries, at the quarterback position every year. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad that I got this guy because he's still relatively young. I mean, he's not old. He's not like super young, but he's at a decent age. Sam Darnold, he was a former first round pick a couple of years ago. He's not a bad option. He's 25 years old. 25 years old. The guy played at USC. He was number three. He was a number three pick in 2018. So played ball at USC. Played for the Jets, the Panthers. He wasn't horrible last year with the Panthers. I feel like it's a good move. It's a good win-win type move. The 49ers get a veteran. He's not horrible. He's 25, and he's had a couple of years in the league. First-round pick. And again, I think he comes in. He has good mobility. We've seen some flashes from Sam Darnold. He's never had a coach really that can coach him up, I feel like. I just think that Shanahan could be a guy that could really fix him and make him something. Where if he has to start, he might be better than a lot of people expect. I mean, 49ers lost Jimmy Garoppolo today. He went to the Raiders, right? And I think last year when we were talking about backup quarterbacks, people mentioned Darnold and compare him to Jimmy. Honestly, Jimmy Garoppolo and Sam Darnold, I would probably say they'd probably win a similar amount of games on this team to, 49ers. You got a good offensive skill set. Sam Darnold's never had weapons like the Niners have had. So this is not a bad option at the third quarterback. This is definitely a pretty solid option at the quarterback. Still waiting to see the details. So you kind of get a sense of what their numbers are looking at based on the market value and what other quarterbacks are out there. But I think this is a guy that better than Baker, I think. There were a few upgrades. Maybe you look at Jacoby Brissett, maybe would be better, but I don't know if Jacoby Brissett would be willing to take a big pay cut or play backup or third string role. Or Sam Darnold, he's been in a musical chair role before, so definitely I think money has a big factor in this signing. So. And A Boogie says Sam Darnold also just played with Wilkes. Yeah, Steve Wilkes was the interim head coach with the Panthers. So I guarantee you that Wilkes probably came in and had something to say, like, hey, we really like Darnold. We really like the guy. Maybe you could bring him into the clubhouse. He'd be a solid fit for the team as a backup. I'm sure that had some type of leverage. And then Christian McCaffrey was a player that played with Sam Darnold last year briefly with the Panthers. So I'm sure they asked Christian McCaffrey his input on Darnold, and he probably says he's a good clubhouse guy. And, you have two former Panthers signing off on Sam Darnold, most likely. Makes sense. You bring in a guy that the team some players on the team, some coaches on the team may be familiar with, and you bring them into our system. So I think it's a good move for the 49ers. Obviously, you're not going to get a splash hit. You're not going to go get a Lamar. I mean, you have two young quarterbacks on a rookie contract, and you want to build around them. And that's what the 49ers have told us. You have two really young quarterbacks that are capable of starting. That's what they've said. They said the 49ers quarterbacks, Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, both have the capability of starting. And I think by signing Sam Darnold, I think that gives both of those quarterbacks confidence. They know that they're going to get the opportunity to go out there and start. Sam Darnold's an emergency guy. I mean, if they have to use him to start, they can. But I definitely think that at the end of the day, this is a good move for Trey Lance and his confidence, a good move for Brock Purdy and his confidence moving forward. It's going to be the major battle between Trey and Brock, who's going to be your 49ers starting quarterback. And then the loser of that battle, you'd be your QB2. And then behind them, you have Sam Darnold, who's very capable of coming in and winning a few games. So overall, the 49ers quarterback room is very solid. You have three capable quarterbacks. It's a very interesting situation to be in. Again, every year the 49ers quarterback room is the talk of the town. But I think this was a good move overall. I think so far we're hitting on free agency. Hargrave was a splash. You needed to upgrade that D-line. You make the best defense better. We all needed a veteran quarterback, and I think they made it a quick judgment. They got it out of the way. I'm glad that they took care of this early so we're not dragging it on, and now we can focus on, okay, let's let these quarterbacks get in there and go do their work and let Trey Lance go and do his workouts this offseason, make him go out there in training camp. We know Sam Darnold, he's a veteran. He knows what to expect. He's done this for several years now, and then Brock Purdy can go focus on his rehab to get himself better in a position to put himself to play moving forward next year. So I think it's great that they got this out of the way early and didn't have to let this drag on. I think that was a very, very good move in terms of when this signing was made. Because I didn't want this quarterback thing to move on, and then you lose quarterbacks. And what if someone was to sign a guy that the 49ers were looking into? Then you start looking at other guys, and you start panicking, then you get the wrong guy. So overall, I like the timing of this as well. So so far, the 49ers, I think, are just crushing free agency. So what do you guys think? Ignis says, I said the 49ers should sign Sam Darnold and get an all-pro DT. They did it. My man, Ignis, you might be the next 49ers GM, man, if you're thinking like that, because the 49ers absolutely did that. So Big Time says, do you think the Niners sign anyone else today? I think they might. I think they absolutely have a ability to go and make another move. We'll see what they do. I think right now their next focus is restructuring some contracts, moving some money around because, the cap space is something they got to work around. You got Hargrave, a big contract, and we don't know the details of Sam Darnold. So I'm sure they're going to move some money around. They also did get an underrated signing on Kevin Givens. So my prediction is they probably will sign another guy. I don't know about tonight, but there is a possibility that they can do something. I've heard people around Twitter kind of hyping it up. Tim Kawakami and a couple other people are saying, 49ers are going to make a move. We're going to make a move. So we shall see what happens. Jose says, no Jesse Bates. You know what? I'm not mad at that. I honestly think that Hargrave was a better signing than Jesse Bates would have been. I would have loved to have Jesse Bates, but I think the bigger splash you would have made is Hargrave. You stack the defensive line, takes pressure off the secondary, and I think it's absolutely what they did today. You go and get Hargrave. That is a critical position. The 49ers needed defensive line help, and now you have a guy that's going to be hard to block. He's got 22 sacks in 2 seasons at the D-tackle position. And you have Nick Bosa out there, defensive player of the year, those two guys. And you got Arik Armstead, who's a great run blocker. So 3 guys that are just great, great players on the line. To me, defensive line is more important than a safety. Safety's great. Jesse Bates is great. But if they're going to battle between which big name are you going to sign, I'd rather take Hargrave in a New York State in a heartbeat. I take him in a heartbeat over Jesse Bates. I'm not even mad they didn't get Jesse Bates. You bring back Tashawn Gibson on a 1-year deal, good veteran. He had 5 interceptions last year. He was number 2 in the NFL with interceptions. The guy gets it's a steal, $2 million contract, good veteran. They could go draft a guy in the 3rd round and let Tashawn Gibson mentor him. And now we have a good foundation for the future. And they saved a lot of money. Tashawn Gibson was a steal of a pick, man. That was a nice signing for the 49ers. So far, let's recap. 49ers, they signed Javon Hargrave, massive blockbuster deal today. That was the biggest move Let's pull up all the stats on it. So again, Javon Hargrave, uh, 2 years, and he's had 22 sacks in 2 years. That is incredible to me. They signed him to a 4 year, $84 million deal. That is amazing to me. And they also signed Kevin Givens on a 1 year, $2 million deal. They also signed Tashawn Gibson last night on a 1 year deal, about $2 million. So those are their big signings so far. They addressed big needs, defensive tackle. They addressed safety, and they addressed quarterback also, because they did sign Sam Darnold on a 1 year deal. We're still looking at the specifics, but you needed a veteran quarterback, and they went and did it. They told us they would, and they absolutely did it. So good moves overall so far. I think the 49ers have done a great job in terms of free agency. Now, the question remains, because there's a lot of people out there that say, he's not just a backup. He's not just a backup. But a lot of people out there on Twitter and everywhere, they're saying that Sam Darnold might actually be a starter early in the season. Do you think Sam Darnold would be a starter for the 49ers early in the season? I don't think he starts early in the season. I think, again, it's just an injury. If anything happens to Brock or Trey, only way he starts is if he gets hurt. If one of those guys gets hurt in the beginning of the season, Trey Lance specifically, because Brock Purdy's still coming back from an injury, and it depends on Brock. If he's not 100% ready to go at the start of the season, if he's still rehabbing, and Trey Lance gets hurt, then yeah, Brock or Sam Darnold could be your week one starter. But to me, there's absolutely no way that Sam Darnold is going to be your week one starter when you have Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. So KD says Sam Darnold is all go wrong pickup. Exactly. He's just one of those guys that if everything goes wrong, you go and start Sam Darnold. So Peter, this is a great comment that he says that Philadelphia got weaker and the 49ers got stronger. That's absolutely correct. That's the thing. The 49ers have really strengthened their team. And it seems like the Eagles have lost a lot of players. They lost Epps, their safety. They lost Hargrave. They did get Jason Kelsey back. That's massive. But they're losing players. They had a lot of free agents. Obviously, you can't bring everybody back. The 49ers are good proof of that. Every year they lose players, but they're able to replace them with quality, youngsters and develop players from the draft. So big losses for the Eagles, specifically Hargrave. That's a massive loss for them. And the 49ers upgraded in many positions. Rich said, or Swaggy says, the rich are getting richer. That's 100%. The rich are getting richer, man. Oh, man, I love Twitter. This is a great place to be. People are going crazy on all these moves. It's been a very busy day, too. I mean, 49ers weren't the only ones making moves, but I think the 49ers news was the big splash of the day. They made the biggest waves of the day because you're a team that was in the NFC Championship. And obviously you didn't make it all the way. You didn't make Super Bowl, but we sat here in the offseason saying, how are you going to make this team better? How can you get back to the NFC Championship? You go and strengthen your defense, the best defense in the NFL. That's massive right there. And you go and get a quarterback just in case something happens, because they were in a position where they lost all their quarterbacks last year. They were on QB4, Josh Johnson, then he gets hurt, and you're throwing Christian freaking McCaffrey out there in the NFC Championship game. So to me, that is huge, to go get a quarterback with the capability to come in and win games. If the 49ers had Sam Darnold in the NFC Championship game coming in with that defense, I think they had a chance to still win that game with Sam Darnold. I'm not saying he would have, been great all year, but in an emergency situation, absolutely think it would have been amazing. I think I got a guest coming in. Let's welcome him into the show. Oh, let me see. There he is. Let's get him into the show. My man, Rohan, what is up? My man, we've had a busy day today. How the hell are you doing today, man?
Hey, just a disclaimer. I got about 10 minutes because I got to show at 4:30, but saw your text, wanted to come on, and I wanted to give a shout out to you guys here. But yeah, busy day, man. They've been talking to a good amount of people, seems like that, and then they've also signed two major guys. One, defensive tackle Hassan, or not Hassan, but they signed Javon Hargrave, and then they ended up signing Sam Darnold. So nice day for the 49ers thus far.
Nice day overall. I want to get right to Sam Darnold real quick. Obviously, Hargrave's the splashy move. We love it. But Tell me your thoughts on Sam Darnold. What do you feel about that? I think it's a good situation. I think he's a good emergency quarterback. Definitely could come in a pinch. He's got some mobility. I think with Kyle Shanahan there, he could help him be better than he maybe ever has been. I'm not expecting him to come in and start or win a lot of games, but if they need to absolutely use him, I think he's a solid veteran guy to plug in there. But I think he might even be better with Shanahan than some of these other teams he's been on. He's never really had weapons to use like the Niners. I mean, look at the teams he's been on. I think this was a massive W. I don't know the details of the contract yet. They haven't released that, but I honestly think this was a solid move. I mean, there was a lot of rumors going around on who they were going to sign, but I think this is best case scenario. What do you think?
It's an interesting move. I'm gonna be totally honest. My number one reaction when I saw the news was surprised. Not by the 49ers, but by Sam Darnold. I did not expect Sam Darnold to come to the 49ers because I
Yeah,
thought he'd have a more robust market. And usually when you see these quarterback deals, the number one thing you see is 2-year deals because these backup quarterbacks want some insurance, and 2-year deals normally indicate 1 year is guaranteed. You get about that $8 million, $6 million of guaranteed money, 4 million, whatever it may be. The 49ers, though, they got him on a 1-year deal, a 25-year-old quarterback who played fairly. I'm not going to say he played at a starting, like high starting caliber level, but he played solid at the end of the year when he was starting with the Carolina Panthers. And I think that he's a pretty solid quarterback 3. I like this move a lot for the 49ers. Maybe not as much for Darnold, but I like this move for the 49ers because he is an option who has started in the NFL. He has starting experience, but he's still fairly young. He's only 25 years old. But the most important thing of this offseason is getting the quarterback position right. How do you do that? You have to understand, is Trey Lance your guy for the future? And the number one way to do that is push him through the offseason via competition. Sam Darnold does that. He's a guy who has starting experience, and he's a guy who should be relatively cheap, I'm assuming, if he ended up with the 49ers here. And so, to me, I think this helps Trey Lance because it pushes Trey Lance and really allows the 49ers to see what do they have with their guy who should be the starter at the moment going into the season, because it gives them a better indication of who their franchise quarterback might be, because right now they clearly just don't know. They have 2 quarterbacks who are coming off injuries, who need some time, obviously, to get back to themselves. And I think that is why this move is nice. Also, I'm assuming this move comes with the understanding for Darnold himself that he is going to be QB2 in the offseason, but QB3 in camp. It wasn't one of the higher end guys. Jacoby Brissett is a guy who a lot of people wanted. He was going to be too expensive. Marcus Mariota was a guy people wanted because of Trey Lance. Likely also going to be too expensive and likely wanted more guaranteed money with the second year, like the deal he got with the Raiders a couple of years ago. So I don't mind this move at all. I'm just a little surprised that Darnold ended up getting choosing the 49ers. But I do think it's a solid destination for him because Darnold is going to be with the best head coach he's ever been with and gets
yeah.
to operate in a system that is a little more quarterback friendly, which might help him in securing a multi-year deal next year as a backup if he ends up, because obviously you're going to increase your football acumen when you play in the system.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the reason maybe Darnold comes in and takes a flyer to come here. He goes, I can go to the 49ers. They're a topsy-turvy situation with quarterbacks. And if worst case scenario happens there, which has had in the last couple of years, maybe he does get a few games to start. And that's what he wants. He just gets that opportunity to showcase, hey, look what I can do. And you're right. He gets a chance to play with a great coach, Kyle Shanahan, great offensive mind, great set of weapons. And maybe it's a good opportunity for him. Obviously, I'm sure there's tons of other teams, but he takes a situation here where maybe he can make some big waves around the league with showing what he can do with this offseason. And one thing you noted was, it's going to give Trey some competition to push him. This is absolutely true because, listen, Trey Lance, he's going to get a golden opportunity. We know it. Brock Purdy's going to be, throwing in 3 months, but he'll be rehabbing. He's not going to be full throwing in 3 months. So Trey Lance, the golden opportunity awaits him. If you go out there in camp and you can't look better than Sam Darnold, you don't deserve to start. So right then and there, that's Kyle Shanahan saying, here's our guy. He's our third string quarterback. You should look better than him. And if you don't, then you know what you have. Brock Purdy is going to be your starter when he's healthy. Trey Lance is your backup. And then Sam Darnold's there. And if Sam Darnold looks better than Trey Lance, then shit, he's your QB too. So really right now, everything is up to Trey Lance in order for him to succeed. So I think this is a good situation for the 49ers. You have a guy that could come in and win some games if needed, whatever the case is, and injuries, because they do have with the 49ers. And you're going to get a guy that can push Trey Lance to his capability. Because I think they expected, hopefully, if Brock didn't get hurt, you were going to have a massive competition between Brock and Trey. You're probably not going to get as big of a competition early on because Brock's coming off of the surgery. He'll be ramping up. So you still want someone to push Trey Lance. And I think Sam Darnold is capable of coming in and pushing him. He's been in the league for a couple of years. And like you said, even though he's 25, he started. So even still, he can come in and push Trey Lance. So I think it's a dub overall. And another dub overall, Javon freaking Hargrave. Holy crap. Did you even see this on your radar? Like, I'm still shook. Holy crap. You want to talk about unexpected Sam Darnold? Javon Hargrave. Oh my God, man. Tell me what do you think about that?
I actually did see this on my radar, but it was a while ago. The reason that it surprised, I don't know if it necessarily surprised me that it was Javon Hargrave. I just didn't know if the 49ers are going to pay top dollar. I thought the possibility decreased a little bit when Daron Payne was tagged because it made Hargrave the top on the market. And I didn't know if the 49ers were going to pay top market money for the position. I thought that they were going to pay somewhere around, not necessarily mid tier, but I thought they were going to pay. I didn't know if they were going to pay top dollar. But Hargrave has been on their radar for a while. I mean, both Hargrave and Daron Payne, they made calls to Payne at the trade deadline. Obviously, nothing materialized because San Francisco didn't have draft capital. But Hargrave has been on their radar for a while now, and I mean, they ended up getting him, and it's a huge deal for the 49ers. 4 years, 84 million, 40 million guaranteed. Looks like it. I haven't seen the structure of the deal yet, but off the jump, it looks like they're going to guarantee 2 years of his contract with the signing bonus. That's going to be the likely guarantees, and that likely puts his salary cap hit. At least it's going to be low for year one. I wonder what it'll be for year two. I don't expect it to be too exponentially high in year two either, and so I think that this is an intriguing deal for Javon Hargrave, but I think that the most complex part of it is not year one. I think year one, the 49ers are set. They're trying to make a push for a Super Bowl. Year two is where it becomes a little interesting because Nick Bosa will also be in his first year of his extension next year because he's on his 5th-year deal this year. So he'll be making some money next year, but Arik Armstead makes about $26 million cap hit next year. And so that's the big contract. What do the 49ers do? I don't envision the 49ers staying on what they have with Armstead. I envision one of two ways. I've been talking about a potential move off of Armstead next offseason for a while now, but I honestly do think that an extension could be in the works next offseason and keep him throughout his career in San Francisco on a team-friendly deal next offseason over a couple of years, understanding that the cap that's going to spread apart essentially makes it maybe it's a 4-year, $40 million deal or 4-year, $52 million deal, and then the cap makes it so that it's like $15 million a year for the next 4 years for Arik Armstead or something like that. And so to me, I think that could be a possibility, but it opens up a lot of possibilities. What it shows, though, is a willingness for San Francisco to open up their cap for this year because it seems like they really are making a push this year. And the biggest part of it, the most underrated part, they took one of the biggest, if not the biggest free agent away from their biggest contender.
That is the biggest takeaway to me. Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway. You go and take your biggest problem in the NFC because no other team is going to compete with the Eagles and the Niners, and nobody's going to compete with the Niners and the Eagles. You go weaken them by taking one of their better players. Holy crap! And you strengthen your team with one of their strengths. That's amazing. That strategy they used. And you're right. I think the biggest takeaway also from this is cap space because somebody was. I know there's a lot of comments. How are they going to afford it now if they don't have that much cap space? This and that. But obviously, they got to move stuff around. The Nick Bosa situation definitely something that factors into this. I'm sure he'll still get paid big time bucks. He did note something early in the end of the season in his goodbye speech that he says he's not necessarily looking to be the highest paid defensive end in the league. Obviously, it could be talk. We'll see what happens when pen hits the paper and they're going to negotiations. But if he really isn't trying to get the highest paid, maybe that gives him flexibility. And the other issue too is Armstead. I was wondering too, what the heck, man, because his cap hit is huge. I think maybe that's a guy they do trade down the line because he does have a huge cap. But I like what you said. That's interesting that maybe they give him an extension and that kind of breaks it up where they can move more money around. So definitely a good possibility. I think that's smart. We'll see what happens overall. But man, at the end of the day, whatever they got to figure out, they'll figure it out. I know they will, but it definitely tells me that they're in a win now situation. Just when they got CMC, they're telling you we're trying to go in and win a Super Bowl. What the heck's going to do? What can we do to put us over the top? CMC was not enough because the quarterback fell down. So now they're saying, let's keep stacking our defense, keep making us stronger. You get the best defense, made them stronger. And now the quarterback just needs to stay healthy. I know you got to head out in a minute, but any last minute second thoughts here before you head out on us?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the question here. Does the Hargrave signing take away from the Niners looking at top tier edge rushers? Depends on what you think about top tier edge rushers. If you're thinking guys that might break the 16 to $18 million range, I'd argue I don't know if they were necessarily in the range for those guys, but I think this edge class is perfect for the 49ers. Why? Because it's a weak free agency class. I think that's been seen. It's a weak free agency class, but it's a pretty deep edge class. And I think the 49ers are going to dabble in the edge market. I don't know if it's going to be one of the top tier guys. Yannick Ngakoue probably is the top of the guys that they might talk to. I know that they've been in talks there, but I don't personally think that something's going to materialize there, especially after the Hargrave signing. I do think though that they'll go after someone in the middle of the tier kind of range, and I think that that'll be valuable. But one thing that I'll note, this signing for Hargrave gives the 49ers flexibility. They've normally looked to secure depth on the edge so that they can push guys on the so that they can keep Armstead on the inside. But this signing with Hargrave on the inside allows Armstead to potentially be an edge setter on run downs and then a pass rusher on the interior on pass rushing downs. What does that allow? It allows for Kalia Davis, a guy who the 49ers are very high on, to be involved on early downs in the lineup, and it provides you a really strong base of run defenders, because Nick Bosa is a good run defender. Hargrave is. Kalia Davis will be. And Arik Armstead is one of the better run defenders on the team as well. I think that it allows for a little more flexibility because you have depth that you can now rely on a lot more on the inside.
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, I think that was evident last year by losing DJ Jones. You're like, oh, man, we don't have a solid guy that can come in and stuff the run. So this definitely is a move that signifies that. And I think that's John Lynch apologizing for getting rid of DeForest Buckner, because that Super Bowl equation in 2019 was you had an elite interior D lineman and an elite edge rusher. And that combo, it's hard to stack and guard the combo of a edge and D tackle that can rush the passer from those two spots. And now they get back to that equation. Plus, you have Armstead who can set the edge. He can, play the run game. It's just a phenomenal issue to have for the 49ers. And teams are going to be stuck trying to block them and guard them. But I know you got to head out. You got a show in 2 minutes. I appreciate you, Rohan. You're the man. We got to have you hop on again. You know so much. So appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Appreciate you. Appreciate your chat as always. Yeah, I'll be on probably sometime this week when some more free agency stuff hits, because 49ers aren't done. So that's the exciting part. And so, yeah, we'll talk soon, man.
Appreciate it. I'll get you on the show again, man. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. Rohan, always good stuff. Good to hear him. Good to hear from him. The man's a smart young man. So good stuff. He's absolutely right, man. Hargrave gives this team so much versatility at the D-line spot. And there was a comment here that someone says, and this kind of leads me to our next segue here. I got to read where's the comment? They go from, somebody said, where's the comment? It says, they go from a bad Javon. Oh, we have a great Javon in place of a bad Javon. Like, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. They upgraded that defensive line position because they missed. They absolutely missed on Kinlaw. They couldn't keep DJ Jones last year. Well, looking at it, they probably could have. But they wanted to see if Kinlaw could be that guy. They gave him his opportunity, and he couldn't be that guy. So now they're like, well, shit, we need a guy in the middle that can just be what we need, because they got rid of Defoe, and they've been struggling since to find his replacement. Now they got it. Hargrave's going to be a money player in that different interior D line there. So it's a big dub. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they know they messed up getting rid of Defoe, but it was a business situation. Now they got Hargrave, and they go back to having two solid rushers, one from inside, one from the outside, and it gives them more flexibility. They can add another edge rusher, another speed rusher. Hopefully they get another guy. I wouldn't mind having Omenahu back, Arden Key. There's a whole bunch of guys they can go get. Leonard Floyd. And it tells me that Javon Kinlaw, they could be able to trade him in the draft time. You don't cut him because you're not going to do anything for your cap space. You're going to take a big cap hit. But really, if the draft comes and you want to move up a spot, maybe you just throw in Javon Kinlaw with one of your draft picks, and then you move up a spot. So that's a way you can get yourself rid of Javon Kinlaw. Give him a fresh start, a new opportunity somewhere. Throw him in a package with the draft pick to move up in the draft. I think that's a simple solution. If he stays around, then he's going to get his opportunity in the offseason, in training camp to show, hey, I'm a changed man. I can stay healthy and I can be part of your 11 players on your defensive line rotation. If not, it is what it is. But I think that this point now, Hargrave gives him flexibility to move away from Kinlaw, which was an unfortunate pick because he couldn't stay healthy. So, yeah, this is Ryan says this Kinlaw's last year. I'm almost. I would be surprised if it wasn't. I'd be so surprised. I don't expect them to pick up his fifth-year option. Draft comes next month, and I could see them maybe, like I said, okay, we're gonna trade you the number blah 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 pick for the number blah blah pick. Oh, by the way, here, we're just gonna add this on top of it. What's this? Oh, Javon. Oh yeah, you can have them. Just have them. Like they can do that. Just throw them in a deal. Package them. He gone. Jose says, heard Devontae Adams mad about Jimmy. Did you guys see Devontae Adams? Did you see that? I kind of laughed. What do you guys think he means? Devontae Adams. What do you think he means? That was funny, dude. What did he say? Let me find the. Let me see. What did he put? Where did he put? Oh man, let's pull up the tweet. That is so funny, dude. Hey, Peter Parker says this is Kinlaw's last few months. I mean, it's sad. He can't stay healthy. It's an unfortunate situation. Okay, so Devontae Adams from his Instagram story says, if we haven't talked in the last 3 months, if we haven't talked in the last 3 weeks, don't hit me about this shit. Thanks. He's so He's sick, dude. Devontae Adams is sick, dude. He's so fucking pissed. He's so upset, dude. Oh my god, man, that's funny. But for the Raiders, they have to ask themselves a question, and I think that's what they did. Do they think that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Derek Carr? They got a coach that's coached him up when he was in New England, so maybe they have a good connection. We'll see, man. Good luck to Jimmy. The 49ers are going to get a nice compensatory pick out of it. At the end of the day, 49ers get something out of Jimmy, and that's what they've looked for the last couple of years. They've been desperately trying to get compensation in return for Jimmy. It just never happened, and now this year they finally did it. So it's oh man, Devontae really in a black hole. Oh man. Ryan says Adams and Jimmy are going to have the most awkward relationship ever. If he stays on the Raiders, Devontae Adams, I mean, it's going to be weird. I mean, you never know. Winning fixes everything. The Raiders are winning, everything will be great. It'll be all gravy, Davy. So we'll see what happens. But man, speaking of 49ers, man, I'm just so happy for them. I think they got a perfect contingency plan for Sam, with Sam Darnold. That's what we've been talking about, Sam Darnold and the Niners. And I think that was definitely, I think it was the best case scenario for the 49ers. He definitely was a former first-round pick. He was drafted number 3 in 2018, as we noted. And this is a guy that started games. He's had a backup role, so he knows both sides of the coin. He knows that he could come in and give a lot of leadership to Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. They're both young quarterbacks. They were, Trey Lance, he was the former number 3 pick himself. Brock Purdy, he was the 3rd quarterback last year for the team. He was a rookie last year. So I think this is good, a player that's been through it all. And he can be a really good mentor for these quarterbacks on the 49ers. I mean, Sam Darnold honestly, he's got a lot of similarities in terms of Trey Lance with his career. He was a number 3 pick. He didn't live up to that hype. He got casted away with the Jets, but the Jets were a shit franchise at the time. So excuse my language, but they were so bad. And he didn't have a good team around him. So they get rid of him and he goes to the Panthers, and he was not horrible with the Panthers last year. I think he had a solid I'm not going to say he was an elite quarterback, but he looked okay. So he's a guy that could come in and he knows what Trey might be going through as a former number 3 pick that just hasn't panned out yet. So I think this is good, man. I definitely think this is good for the 49ers. And it's not going to be Darnold's last stop, right? He's going to come here and he's going to get his opportunity to show what he can do in training camp, preseason, and maybe in a regular season game if there's an injury. And I'm sure he'll take the advantage of it, and it's good because he'll be around Kyle Shanahan, who I think is a good coach for him. So we'll see. Darnold stays healthy, yeah. So it's just interesting because we talked all offseason which guy was going to be the veteran, and it's Sam Darnold. I was surprised because I didn't expect it to be Sam Darnold, but I'm kind of glad it is. I like this guy as the QB3 option. I mean, it's an upgrade over Josh Johnson. That's a dub. I mean, it's not a guy that's going to cost a lot of money. He could come in and manage the games, and I think he's a guy that can help Trey and Brock mentally because he's been through so much. So it's really a good situation. And Sam Darnold's a nice guy. He's a good guy. So I think overall, the 49ers did a good job with this move. So Peter says Darnold won't see Ghost playing with us. So, funny stuff. So I'm just interested to know what his compensation is going to be. I can't wait to see what Darnold's contract is going to look like. So we'll see. We'll see. And it is cool because Sam Darnold does have a player that he's been on the team with, Christian McCaffrey, before. So I'm sure that's going to be cool for CMC. Although they didn't play a lot, but good to see old friends in new places. That'll help him kind of segue into the team. So let's see. Mini says he did good for Carolina. Good pickup for a third-string quarterback. Honestly, yeah. Ryan says, wasn't Sam Darnold a former first-round pick? Yeah, he was the number 3 pick in 2018. Number 3 pick. Trey Lance was the number 3 pick. So a little bit of a similar situation in that aspect. So I think it's good. I think, again, it's also going to allow Trey Lance to have some competition this offseason. And if, Trey Lance, he's coming off the big injury. He's coming off a right fractured ankle, and he's going to have to hit the ground running and really tackle this and show that he's the guy. And if you can't come into the offseason program and show that you're better than Sam Darnold, no disrespect to Sam Darnold, I think he's a solid veteran quarterback. He's, but if you're supposed to be QB1, the dog of the team, the man, the legend, the leader, the franchise quarterback, and if you can't beat out Sam Darnold, you don't deserve to be quarterback 1. And that's going to tell me, okay, Brock Purdy's the guy. So Trey Lance, everything is up to him. He's got everything riding on his, talent, and he has a golden opportunity to come here and show that he is the man. So Halgang says it's a 1 year, $4 million deal. Is that official? I haven't seen it. If that's the case, that's not a bad contract. Is that officially official? Is that being reported? Can anybody confirm? 1 year, $4 million deal. Let's see. Let's see. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. Is this officially official? I don't see it anywhere. But if it is, that's not a bad deal actually. $4 million. I wonder how much is guaranteed. Alberto, NFC just keeps getting easier for the 49ers. 100%, man. Absolutely. Peter says, I bet Wilkes and CMC spoke highly of Darnold. I agree. Didn't mention that earlier. Do you think we're done signing free agents, says Gomez? Absolutely not. I think the 49ers still have some moves left in them. Looking for a kicker, a center, maybe a player that can compete for right tackle. But again, they can address these in the draft too. And another pass rusher. I think the 49ers absolutely have to get another pass rusher. Whether it's in the draft, I'm talking about edge rusher because Hargrave is a great pass rusher interiorly, but I still think they can go get a speed rusher off the edge. But I still think the 49ers make some more moves. We'll see. We'll see. Ryan says, I love the Sam Darnold move. Only 25 and has potential. He went to a great college. Yeah, overall, great signing. 25, he's still young. I definitely think that was a good move overall. So, yeah, good day to be a Niner fan, man. Lots of news. Hargrave was a slam dunk. I think Kevin Givens, very underrated. We signed that earlier, 1 year deal. And then the other big move yesterday, to Sean Gibson, bringing him back. And then you got Sam Darnold today. So overall, the 49ers have done a great job so far. I think so far you give them an A. We'll post something later on the page to let you guys vote and tell me what you think about their grade. And we'll see. I think there's still a couple moves. We'll stay tuned. Stay tuned, baby. Ryan, I knew what you meant. I know what you said. You said trade. I read it as signing, so I knew exactly what you meant. But we'll see. Anyways, that's it for now. We'll come back a little later. Been busy all day, man, and I'm excited. Free agency is a hell of a time. I love it. And hopefully we get one more move later today so we can be back live. I want to come back live later tonight. Let's hope that the 49ers make another big move or something happens. Stay tuned. Stay locked in. I love you guys. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back a little later. I'm going to take a little break and read some stuff, catch up on content, and I appreciate y'all. Good stuff. Sam Darnold, welcome to the Bay. QB3, absolute dub for me. Am I coming back on IG or YouTube? I'll definitely be back on Instagram later. I'll probably come back on YouTube if we make another move, and we'll break that down and stuff. We'll see, though. Definitely will be back later on Instagram. Need to take a little break, get some water. I'm thirsty. I'm absolutely thirsty. So you guys have a good rest of your day. Take care, and bang, bang. Not a gang.